I got everything cleaned up, cleaned up as clean as it needs to be for our purposes, right? We're not looking for a show engine here. And parts came in today, and I was pretty surprised to see Kohler written on all the boxes, which is just fantastic, right? So like, I didn't think that we'd be getting legit Kohler parts. I thought they'd be some kind of off-brand, but we got oil pan gasket, case gasket, which these cases didn't have a gasket in between them, right? When I took it apart, it was just sealant, so we'll double check on that. It would make sense to me because there's no bearings on the crank and there's no thrust bearings, right? It's all together. So if I add a paper gasket in between those surfaces, it's going to allow the crank to move more than it probably should. So I doubt that's going to go in. It may be that this kit is for more than just my engine, right? It's for multiple types, and some have the gaskets, some don't. So we can go through the service manual and see that for sure, because the service manual, I believe, is just for the CH23. No, it covers a broader spectrum, but either way, not going to be putting in a gasket where there wasn't one on those case halves, because we don't want to adversely affect the thrust play, whatever you want to call it, run out. No, it wouldn't be run out, because that would be an axial type thing. Anyway, talking out my ass at this point, but this seal shouldn't go in because it'll make them apart too far, and I'll show that later. But I want to go ahead and pull this bag apart and just kind of see everything that's inside. So we'll clear off the microphone stuff I was messing with. We'll clear this off. We had done grout up here, so I'm not going to keep this paper and consider it good for engine building. Well, maybe we'll wipe it off and see if it'll be okay, but really we might have to reset our clean surface anyway, but we can at least pull the gaskets apart and see what's inside the kit. So yeah, ring sets, everything's there, individually packaged. We'll put them back in the box so that we don't have them fly over the garage until we need them. So everything looks correct. We got these are the two sides on top of the oil ring. Here's the oil ring, two compression rings. One is thicker laterally than the other, so all that looks right compared to the drawings in the book. So we'll put those back in their boxes. We'll move on to these guys. All right, so right off the bat, here's that black piece that crusted all apart. Here's what it's supposed to look like, and I can, it's spongy, you can squeeze it. It sits in that channel. Whoopsie, now it's contaminated, but you can see that angle, and there's a little hole to let oil drain back into the crankcase. So that just sits in there and lets it do its thing. Nice to have a new piece. The rest of it, a lot of this should be self-explanatory. So here's crank seals on the ends. Those will be like, here's one side, right? So right on this side, there's one of those seals. So we'll be able to pop that out, and we'll get a socket of the right size to support it. Pound the new one in. Easy. Valve stem seal looks good. Some kind of instructions that we'll ignore. Two head gaskets, that's the important part. I don't remember what that was for, but I remember seeing it. These are going to be intake. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. This is going to be for that crankcase breather, so I know where that goes. There's another intake seal. Are these stick-on? Hold on a second. That'd be cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So this white peels off, and you can stick the gasket onto your part so it doesn't go flying all over the place. Looks like we got some O-rings. Looks like a size that would match up with that guy. O-ring. Here's exhaust gasket. Don't know. Anything we don't know what it is going to go over here. Don't know what that is. Random O-ring. O-ring. Intake O-ring thingy. That guy. Another thing. Don't know. Don't know. The hell are you? You would think it's some kind of exhaust, but we don't know. Right, so we got, there's some gritties up here. We're going to redo our clean spot before we actually get working, but what I'll probably do is leave this dirty while I get the case ready, right? So we unfortunately kid at daycare, somebody's kid tested positive for COVID, so I won't be going to work tomorrow, and we're not going to go anywhere until our son gets a negative test, right? If he comes back negative, we know we're okay, then we'll go back to work. You know, both of our businesses told us, you know, the wife's and mine, that because we weren't directly exposed, that we can come on in, everything's good to go. And it's like that feels pretty irresponsible to me. So we're gonna go ahead. He's getting tested in the morning, and if that comes back negative, we'll be kicking it back to work. In the meantime, that means I have an entire day tomorrow, uninterrupted. Wife will be home to take care of him. The only thing I don't have is a hone. My dad's got one, so I think what I'm gonna do is the contactless delivery, have him set it out in front of his garage, go for a little motorcycle ride. Maybe we'll get the microphone hooked up and test that out, and pick up his home. So his just has 3 plates on it, 3 stones that expand when you spin it. It's real simple. I've used it before, and it works great. It's not as fancy as the ball hones, but it's free. So we'll go get that. We'll get the glaze off these cylinders, get a nice crosshatch on them, and build this engine up tomorrow. It's going to be great. Okay, so the instructions we were going to toss is actually convenient order and torque for the heads, and they have a little warning at the beginning just saying that from serial number, whatever the serial number is on, that some of them they use studs, washers, and nuts like ours does instead of hex flange screws, and that the heads are machined differently, use the same style hardware that the engine had as original equipment from the factory, do not attempt to interchange. So we already had studs, so we're good to go. It will be interesting. Look at the serial number. It'd be funny if we're not supposed to have studs and somebody's already been in here. So yeah, let's take a look at that. Okay, so the serial number is actually, well, you'd think it would be stamped on the block somewhere, but it's on the sticker either way. So they're saying effective with serial number 30024118871. Anything bigger than that, and oh yeah, we're 3330. We are millions of engines in serial numbers past that. So yeah, we should definitely have these studs, washers, and these nuts. Cool. I'll have to clean this up. Not too much wear from that fan, so we're looking okay. I'm thinking, I have an idea, right? Because all our grass was packed up in here, is we'll go ahead and cut out a big rectangle on each one, and then we'll get a drawing made up of that size, and then have my buddy 3D print it, so we can have a cover that kind of goes in place when we're running it, and then whenever we feel like it, we can pop the hood, take these covers off, and see how much grass is clogging it up. Because really, until I separated this and saw that grass in there, it was almost impossible to tell if it was clogged. And then stuff like cleaning it out, you find out that there's actually holes that go all the way through the head for cooling, right? Passages in there that, you know, were completely clogged up as well. So there's plenty of things making this thing get hot. And then, you know, after seeing all that, I'm pretty confident that I'm not the only culprit. I bet this thing's been clogged up for a while, and it just happened to take the little bit extra that I must have allowed in at some point to push it over the edge. But either way, tomorrow will be hopefully a one-day mower build, get this thing back together.